Coming in at 5, Clover from Cloverfield. Perhaps one of my favourite found footage films of all time, Cloverfield tells the story of a group of friends who venture deep into the streets of New York on a rescue mission during a rampaging monster attack. Starring Mike Vogel, Jessica Lucas, Lizzie Kaplan and TJ Miller, this film is a horror sci-fi and at times a comedy, and shows off huge monsters rampaging around the city while our gang attempt to navigate the streets in order to reach one of their friends trapped inside an apartment building. The creature in Cloverfield is a heavy hitter, breaking apart the Statue of Liberty as well as the Brooklyn Bridge, killing folks and wreaking havoc across the Big Apple. To make matters worse, it drops little parasites to the ground, which also attack nearby humans, with fatal bites causing people to bleed and eventually explode. We're having absolutely no fun in this film, people. Coming in at 4, the bugs from Starship Troopers. This 1997 sci-fi classic follows a group of humans in a fascist militaristic future where they are forced to wage war against giant alien bugs. Yeah, it's disgusting, but a classic nonetheless. Starring Denise Richards, Neil Patrick Harris, Casper Van Dien and Dina Meyer, this film cleverly shows us what would happen if insects were capable of developing technology. And it's no fun, folks. The bugs in this film are not to be messed with them having several forms of attack, ranging from military-grade firing equipment to claws that can cut into people's heads and eat their brains. Once again, we're talking about bugs, people. Bugs. Even worse, they require some extreme measures in order to get rid of them, but don't worry, I'm not going to ruin the surprise for you. You'll just have to watch and find out. Coming in at 3, the Xenomorph from Alien. This Ridley Scott masterpiece was released all the way back in 1979 and starred Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, John Hurt and Ian Holm, with the film following a space merchant vessel that perceives an unknown transmission as a distress call, resulting in them landing on the source's moon only to be attacked by a mysterious lifeform, the Xenomorph. This film is an absolute classic, with the most memorable scene showing John Hurt, who had been face-hugged by a small crab-like alien, begin convulsing at the dinner table before his chest bursts right open and an alien slithers out. It's haunting and has lingered with even hardcore horror fans for years. Now the film's scariest attribute is its primary antagonist, the Xenomorph, a tall, lanky-armed, fang-filled creature, a truly awe-inspiring monster that came from the mind of artist H.R. Geiger. The Xenomorph's true horrors are displayed to us when the crew are looking for the cat, Jonesy, with Brett the engineering technician not realizing the fully grown Xenomorph is standing right behind him. However, the horrified look in his eyes are all we need to understand the fate he's about to meet. It's not good. He dies. Coming in at 2, The Thing from The Thing.
You were the only one that could have got to that blood. We'll do you last. Get away from me! Retreating!
Now I'm sure none of you will be surprised that The Thing is on our list, although I'm sure you'll be surprised that it didn't claim our number 1 spot. You'll see why very soon. Released back in 1982 and starring Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley and Keith David, this John Carpenter classic follows a research team in Antarctica that is hunted by a shape-shifting alien that assumes the appearance of its victims. This shape-shifting alien is known as The Thing, and is perhaps the most terrifying creature to come out of horror cinema to date. The Thing breaks into the base, stealth style, by disguising itself as a dog and quickly mutates to impersonate the crew members by biting off arms and sprouting legs from a human head in order to flee, which is perhaps one of the most haunting things I've ever seen. More terrifying still, it's not just the Thing's appearance that is horrifying, but instead how it attaches itself to various characters throughout the film, turning each human against one another through simple implication, leading everyone to suspect their neighbor of being the Thing. It's a mind game to say the least and indescribably grotesque to watch. Check it out. Finally, coming in at number 1, Space Gorillas from Attack the Block. This action comedy sci-fi was released back in 2011 and at the time was comprised of a cast of relative unknowns. However, that's a little different now. Starring Jodie Whittaker, John Boyega and Luke Treadaway, Attack the Block follows a teenage gang in South London who are forced to defend their block from an alien invasion. Now yes, this film is primarily a comedy, but the appearance of the unrelenting gorilla-like aliens definitely warrants it a mention on our list because they are straight up terrifying to look at. They're huge creatures covered in black, spiky fur with fang-filled mouths that seem to glow glow a green-blue hue, and to make matters worse, they want to use Earth as their new breeding ground. So it's probably a good idea not to get in between this space gorilla and its mate, or better yet, you should hope that you're not the mate. Attack the Block is perhaps one of the greatest sci-fi comedies to ever come out of the UK, and is a must-watch for all lovers of horror out there. Watch it, you'll not be disappointed. Coming in at number 5, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is a 1988 science fiction horror comedy written and directed by the Chiodo brothers. The film itself is about a clan of evil aliens from an unknown region, who all resemble circus clowns. They arrive on Earth and invade a small town in order to capture, kill, and harvest the human inhabitants to use as sustenance. Now the killer clowns appear to wear colourful makeup, painted eyes, fuzzy hair with various styles, and then of course humorous over-the-top outfits, making them resemble clowns. They are usually seen wielding a dangerous but completely unassuming weapon of their own, a gun that encases its victims into a cocoon of a cotton candy-like substance, which slowly melts the victim into red liquid. Other weapons include mallets, boxing gloves, and other guns that shoot out popcorn larvae and that encase people in balloons. These dudes are monstrous, durable, and practically bulletproof, with them enjoying the taste of humanoid blood and meat, as well as general carnage, mayhem, destruction, and random killing in new and inventive ways. This film is a fun time, you should definitely check it out. In at number 4 we have Alien: Xenomorphs. Alien is a 1979 science fiction horror film directed by Ridley Scott, and follows the crew of the commercial space tug Nostromo, who encountered the deadly Xenomorph, a deadly and aggressive extraterrestrial set loose on the ship. Now the Xenomorph XX-121, better known simply as Xenomorph, is an extraterrestrial species and one of the deadliest of all known species. To quote Eloise from the film, "Men consider it evil, but it is simply doing what it does. That it does it so well is where the fear lies." Xenomorphs are quite capable of running and crawling along ceilings and walls, which is terrifying, and are also known to be expert jumpers. Not to mention their large clawed talons allow them to tear humans apart without much force. The alien design is credited to Swiss surrealist and artist H.R. Geiger, originally in a lithograph titled Necronom 4, and refined for the film series. In the movie, the alien blood is an extremely potent acid and is capable of corroding almost any substance on contact with alarming speed. Xenomorphs also have an insane life cycle as shown in the movie. They begin their lives as an egg which hatches a parasitoid larvae form known as a facehugger, which then attaches itself to a living host by, as its name suggests, latching onto its face. The facehugger then impregnates the host with an embryo known as the chestbuster. I think we all know why it's named that. The scene with the alien bursting from John Hurt's chest is one that most won't forget quickly. The Xenomorph is an icon of alien horror that lasted over decades since its appearance back in 1979. In at number 3 we have Predator from Predator. Predator is a 1987 science fiction horror film directed by John McTiernan and stars Arnold Schwarzenegger as the leader of an elite paramilitary rescue team on a mission to save hostages in guerrilla-held territory in Central America, who encountered the deadly Predator, a technologically advanced alien who stalks and hunts them down. The Predator, also known as Yautja, are an extraterrestrial species that are a sentient humanoid race. They are characterized by their hunting of other dangerous species for sport, including humans. They stalk and kill their prey using a combination of technology such as energy weapons combined with blades, spears, and nets. Predators are bipedal humanoids, physically distinguishable from humans by their height, long hair-like appendages on their heads, reptilian skin, and no visible nose. To quote Mac in Predator, "I know one thing, Major. I drew down and fired straight at it, capped off 200 rounds in the minigun, full pack. Nothing on this earth could have lived, not at that range." Predators are highly resilient to physical damage, capable of recovering from gunshot wounds with no medical attention. They are insanely strong, easily capable of outmatching a trained human in unarmed combat. Not to mention they are also capable of tearing a human's head and spine from the body with little effort. The Predator series was such a success, it spawned 3 sequels. But only the first one's good. Coming in at number 2, The Thing from The Thing. The Thing is a 1982 science fiction horror directed by the legendary John Carpenter based on the 1938 novella Who Goes There? The movie tells the story of a group of American researchers in Antarctica who encounter the Thing, a parasitic extraterrestrial life form that assimilates then imitates other organisms. The group quickly become overcome with paranoia and conflict as they learn that they can no longer trust each other and that any one of them could in fact be the Thing. Now the Thing itself is a shape-shifting creature that crash-landed upon Earth around 100,000 years ago. It was frozen in the ice of Antarctica and accidentally freed by the crew of Norway's Fuel Research Station. Its goal is to absorb and assimilate any nearby lifeform native to whatever planet the thing arrives on. It is thus able to gain shelter and adapt to virtually any environment that can sustain complex life, which is its principal food and host source. To quote RJ McCready, "This thing doesn't want to show itself, it wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to, but it's vulnerable out in the open. If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies. Nobody left to kill it, and then it's won." What makes this monster so damn terrifying is the simple fact that once it has assimilated an organism, it is capable of imitating them exactly down to their memories, characteristics, mannerisms, and all of their traits, even medical defects. Not to mention when a part of the thing becomes cut in two, both of those pieces become their own creature and operate separately, making it incredibly difficult to kill one of these creatures. The thing turns friend on friend and family against family because at the end of the day, anyone could be the thing. And finally, in at number 1 we have Attack the Block, Space Gorillas. Attack the Block is a 2011 British sci-fi horror comedy written and directed by Joe Cornish. The film centers on a teenage street gang who are forced to defend themselves from predatory alien invaders on a council estate in South London on Guy Fawkes night. When Samantha Adams, a trainee nurse, is mugged by the gang of teenage hoodlums, a meteorite falls from the sky bringing with it these alien gorilla invaders. These aliens are quadrupedal, having long legs armed with bear-like claws, rows upon rows of sharp fangs, having no eyes or ears to speak of, and communicate through sonar, shrieks, screams, and even growls. The male gorillas also have bioluminescent glowing fangs, with their blood being blackish blue in colour. Now, it has been theorized that the alien gorillas are invaders floating through space on solar winds, looking for a planet to infest, and when the female finds one suitable, she excretes a musk-like fluid so that the males are able to track her. Honestly, these creatures are just straight up terrifying, and more effective than a lot of monsters in big budget horror movies. The disappointing thing though is that although the film has an absolutely stellar cast with the likes of Jodie Whittaker, John Boyega, Luke Treadaway, and Nick Frost, it sadly underperformed at the box office, but did receive praise from critics. However, in my opinion, Attack the Block demands to be seen simply because of these creatures, and how thrilling and pulse-raising it is from start to finish. Not to mention, it's also hilarious and it introduced the world to John Boyega.
Number 5 on this list is the Chupacabra. The Chupacabra is one of the most famous urban legend beasts in the entire world. This creature is apparently very common in the Central Americas and was first spotted several decades ago in Puerto Rico. Wikipedia says, physical descriptions of the creature vary, with some describing it as more dog-like, while most others describe it as reptilian and alien-like. Some report it as being a heavy creature the size of a small bear, with a row of spines reaching from the neck to the base of the tail. So it's that one comment about it looking alien-like that really stands out to me and leads me to believe that it could be from space. These creatures are apparently very vampiric in nature and are often reported as killing the livestock of the locals. Goats are specifically on the menu and get targeted by these creatures a lot. This wouldn't be uncharacteristic alien behavior because think about how aliens respond to cows, another common livestock victim of these otherworldly creatures. Couldn't it be possible that the Chupacabra is from outer space and needs to eat these goats to survive? I think something interesting to note as well is the fact that it just kind of appeared in 1995. Before then, nobody had ever seen it or heard of it before. Maybe it came from outer space and crashed down on Earth in that year and it hasn't been able to leave since then. Considering this creature's tendencies, I truly don't think that this theory is that outlandish. Number 4 on this list is sky serpents. Sky serpents are part of a larger category of cryptids called atmospheric beasts. According to people who have seen these creatures before, they are living mammals or beasts that are made out of organic material, but they break all of the rules that we typically have for the animals that we regularly talk about, such as the ability for these animals to fly without having any wings. Sky serpents are defined by Cryptid Wiki as snakes or elongated serpentine dragons that appear to float or fly in the air. They typically move in an undulating fashion as if they are sea serpents of the air. They are not the same as ordinary flying dragons. Certain sky serpent sightings resemble brine shrimp because of the thin nature and thin arms, making it move or glide throughout the air because they manage to fly without wings, like most Asian dragons that have the ability to also fly. There's a few pictures that have surfaced about these sky serpents, but nothing that can unequivocally confirm their existence. The pictures that have come out though seem to show them as very large worm-like creatures that can pass through the sky. Artists' renditions of these beasts are a lot scarier though. A giant flying worm is bad enough, but the pictures that show these multi-headed, dragon-looking creatures that seemingly swim through the air, that's a new tier of terrifying. I feel like these are probably just a made-up legend, but if there are some Rayquaza-looking things just chilling in the sky, then we could definitely be in for some trouble, guys. Number 3 on this list is FENRIR. FENRIR is a creature from Norse mythology that is extremely dangerous and very scary. It's basically a giant wolf that is actually a giant that you really don't want to pick a fight with. Viking Jewelry says Fenrir was the most famous of many wolves creatures mentioned in Norse mythology. He was the son of the god Loki and the giantess Angrboda. The gods of Asgard raised Fenrir in order to stop him from wreaking havoc across the 9 worlds, but he grew quickly and caused so much trouble that they decided to chain him up. The gods convinced Fenrir to let them chain him up by pretending that they were playing a game to see how strong he was. Fenrir easily broke every bond. Eventually, the gods had the dwarves make a special chain that was stronger than any known but appeared light. Fenrir was suspicious of this chain and demanded that one of the gods put his hand in his mouth while he was being chained as a sign of good faith. The god Tyr agreed to this even though he knew he would lose his hand. When Fenrir realized that he had been tricked, he did indeed take the hand of Tyr. Meanwhile, the gods chained him to a boulder and placed a sword in his jaws to keep them open. The resulting drool formed a foamy river called Expectation. The ominous name of the river Expectation appears to be a reference to Ragnarok, the end of the world in Norse mythology, when Fenrir will break from his chains and get his revenge. Fenrir is also said to be the father of Skoll and Heidi, other giant wolves that chase the sun and moon respectively. It's also said that when Ragnarok comes, they will finally catch their targets and devour them. So there we have it, guys. If we live long enough, then we might just get to see Fenrir break out of his chains and come and devour us all. Something nice to look forward to. No, but in all seriousness, we wouldn't stand a chance against this beast. I can't even begin to comprehend its size and the power that it has. With one swoop of its massive paw, the entire planet could just be wiped out. For all our sakes, it's a good thing that it's currently chained up, because if it was loose, because if it was to come to our planet, then the future would look very bleak. Number 2 on this list is atmospheric jellyfish. Atmospheric jellyfish are in the same category as the sky serpents that we talked about earlier. They're also classified as an atmospheric beast. They're thought to be massive jellyfish that float in the sky and can fly up through the atmosphere. The weirdest part about this, and what has these jellyfish higher on the list than our sky serpents, is that it's believed these jellyfish are also used as a UFO. That's right, guys, these are living creatures that are their own separate entity made up of organic matter, but they are also used as vessels for aliens to travel through space. Meaning that if you see an atmospheric jellyfish, then not only could that thing kill and eat you, but there are also probably tens of hundreds of other creatures inside the jellyfish that can do the same. Now, in all honesty, I don't really understand how the mode of transportation works here, or how this jellyfish can hold all of these additional people. I suppose we need to catch one to figure that out. But as ridiculous as all of this sounds, it actually piqued the interest of the scientific community. Since the mid-20th century, there have been hundreds of sightings of these atmospheric jellyfish, and scientists have been forced to investigate what could be behind this. Through these encounters, there have also been a lot of pictures that have been taken as well, and they're pretty good quality. One of the most notable is the Dutch flying jellyfish, a picture captured by Harry Penton in the Netherlands. As you can see, it looks like a UFO, but also like a jellyfish. And that's because people believe they are one and the same. Jellyfish are already kind of creepy animals, but giant ones that are flying through space carrying aliens on board, that's a whole nother level of creepy. And finally, number 1 on this list is Penangalan. This creature is truly terrifying, and based on what it's capable of doing, it could be from space. Forgotten Realms Wiki says a Penangalan had 2 forms. During the day, the Penangalan appeared as a human female resembling its original form before undeath. At At night, the Penanggalan returned to its lair and its head separated from its body, revealing a 3-foot long tail. A Penanggalan's eyes glowed red in darkness. Now, what they don't describe there, and I think it's important to understand how creepy this thing is that the 3-foot long tail it has is actually a bunch of intestines that are hanging from its head. This thing is vampiric in nature and goes around feasting on people with an affinity to those who are pregnant. They suck people completely dry of their blood as they're sleeping while they're in this floating head form. They're also very skilled fighters and will totally mess you up if you do happen to wake up while this is taking place. Now, there's currently no confirmed origin of these creatures, meaning that no one really knows where they came from. I think that space is a potential option here though, because they kind of remind me of the Thing from the horror movie of the same name. A gruesome creature that can disguise itself as a human, but truly just wants to kill and eat as many humans as possible. That same creature came from space, and I think that there's a lot of similarities between the two. This specific beast is typically found around Malaysia, so be very wary if you happen to find yourself around that country.